for now, I want to make sure that we're using the most of our time. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started? So good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that have joined us, welcome. For anyone that is going to be watching back the recording, hello. I'm here with Tony Gonzalez of Homes in Group, and he is going to be doing his series that we've been conducting for the past few months, using psychology to build instant rapport. And so he's going to be breaking down some of the different psychological profiles today. And so our one that we're going to be discussing today is the Amiable. So Tony's going to give a little bit of a recap of some of the profiles that we've talked about in the past and how they kind of compare to the Amiable since. And we'll kind of go from there. So I'm going to let Tony take over. Hi, Donna. Welcome. It's great to see you. And so without further ado, Tony, go ahead.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for setting that up. So I'm going to do a little bit of recap today. We are talking about the Amiable personality, and just real quick, this is the person everybody loves. This is the person that brings the cookies and the biscuits or whatever, donuts into the office. It's the person that really wants, their biggest thing is relationships and building those relationships. But this person can also shut you down in a heartbeat if you don't approach them correctly. But let me recap a little bit, because most of you this is your first time coming to this. So let me explain to you what we're talking about. So the study of behavior characteristics was basically the study that found that there's 4 basic personalities of human nature, and those four basic personalities is something that we all are one of them, right? We all have one of those personalities. We were either born with them, or we've kind of developed them through life, through our core beliefs, our environment. This kind of nurtured us into that personality. It's like a God-given personality, and we tend to want to flock to people who are like us. You ever built rapport with somebody instantly, that you just hit it off? That's probably because they're just like you. They have the same personality, and so subconsciously that person sees something that's common to them, something that they can relate to, and so they drop their defense mechanism, and you become best friends instantly. Just the opposite happens if there's a personality that's not like you. They may put up the barriers. They may be standoffish. Just like if you've met somebody before and it was quiet, it was awkward, there was no conversation, you didn't know where to start or where to finish, and you kind of just wanted to get out of there. And the reason for that is that there might be polar opposites to your personality. And so the study of behavior characteristics basically teaches us what's the motto of each personality, and how to interact with them, so they don't put up the barriers and they don't block you. They'll open up to you, and the whole part of this really helps salespeople like us to become better in observations, better in your communications, and asking for more questions, and basically improving your learning skills, and having that person feel that you're giving them the utmost respect, and that you feel for their situation, where you really want to help them. And that all comes from just from listening and observing more. It just makes us a better professional, and we're able to communicate better with these people. Um, so dealing with people with different behavior styles, we've got to be conscious of behaviors that might make them withdraw, put up walls, shut down, or come out swinging. So in order for us to expand our sphere of influence with the wide diversity of people, we have to compare our personality to theirs, expect how they will respond to it, and maybe kind of mask who we are initially, so that they can't interpret who we are. Now, understand that interpretation is a subconscious interpretation. We are judging people the first minute we see them, and they're judging us. They're judging the way we look, the way we dress, the way we stand, the way we approach, the way we talk. It all has to do with your tonality, with your cadence in your speech, your posture. All these things kind of play into it. And each personality style has their own cadence and their own tonality. So the four basic personalities here. Let me share this with you. Hold on one second. Sorry, wrong button. I believe it's. So as you see, the four basic styles is analytical, driver, amiable, and the expressive. Now, if you see on this chart, you'll see that there's a high assertiveness and a low assertiveness. So last week we talked about the expressive, which was kind of typically the salespeople. Um, uh, these are the people that work the room. They're good networkers. They're a little bit loud. They're in your face. They talk over you. They want you to see how great they are, and that they just want everybody to just look at them, and they're the center of attention. The prior week we talked about the driver. The driver is a guy that it's all about him. It's all about the bottom line. Very aggressive, can be intimidating. But this is a person that kind of puts it all out there for you and tells you, this is how I play. If you play within these parameters, we can do business. And so today we're going to talk about the amiable, which like I said, the amiable is the person that really is a sweet person, is into relationships, brings gifts, is a person that sends sends birthday cards to you, those kind of things. But this person can shut you down. This person doesn't want to tell you no. They would rather ghost you and hide from you. So if you've ever had a client that you don't know why they haven't responded to you and they just dropped off the face of the earth, they're probably an amiable, because they just don't have the heart to break your heart. Any questions so far?
I have one, Tony.
Okay.
What are some of the specific characteristics of the amiable personality that kind of makes those individuals really well suited for real estate?
Well, they're very caring. So you could be a great salesperson and be an amiable, because you really care for people. You're gonna take extra time, and you're gonna find out. You're gonna build that relationship with that person, and it's probably gonna be a long-lasting relationship with your client. Um, the 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 problem with the amiable is that if they're dealing with some of the other personalities, they may be too slow to action. They
Mhm.
might be too focused on the relationship and not really focused on the business side of it. So the other personalities may not like that. They're a nice person, but oh my God, they're too interested in my life and
Mhm.
not what I'm trying to accomplish.
Mhm.
So I do have a slide for you
Mhm.
share to show you how they what their basic
Traits look like,
what their
yeah.
traits. Yeah. So you see self-controlling, self-controlled, accommodating, persistent, patient. They're a good listener. They're easygoing. They're calm. They're sympathetic. They're warm. They're dependable. They're all about relationships.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the other thing. They're very calm. They're a little bit slower in their cadence. Um, they're a little softer in their speech.
Very
Uh,
type B versus type A is probably somebody that's more of like the driver, the analytical, that sort of profile.
exactly. They're not in a hurry to make a decision. Matter of fact, they just very slow to make decisions. So if you're dealing with someone like this, you've got to be very patient with them.
Mhm.
You've got to give them options. You can't ever say, you can't go for a hard close on these people. You gotta put the bug in their ear and let them make their decision, make the decision themselves. And
Mhm.
you gotta let them have time and say, you've got time to do this. Don't rush. Don't put the pressure. They don't like stress at all. They're
Mhm.
really a low stress person. So if they start feeling stress, you're going to see them pulling back on you.
Mhm.
Um, but they're very nice people. These are people that you take care of them, they'll be a friend of yours for life, a customer for life, and they'll tell other people about you as well. So
Mhm.
these are some of my favorite people to deal with. Um, just you just got to slow down a little bit. You got to slow down, and you've got to talk about their family and look at some of their family photos and ask for that
Yeah.
and send them. This is a good person that in your first meeting you want to lead the meeting. And I used to carry, which and going over this material, I was like, man, I need to put that back into play. I used to carry little thank you cards uh,
Mhm.
in my briefcase that had already postage on them, and all I would do was just say, hey, it was so wonderful meeting you. You're such a great person. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to meet you. And then I would put it in the mail and they would get it the next day. And that always went a long way. They love that kind of stuff. You can't do that. If you did that with the driver would go, oh my gosh, one of these guys, and he would blow it out because he doesn't want that. He doesn't like people that much, but the amiable is all about those people. These are people that you're having an event, a party at your house. These are the people that you invite to come to your house, to see your house and see your friends and see your family. They want to see your grandkids or your children's photos. That's what this person's all about.
Mhm. What kind of like communication styles and strategies can real estate agents with more of like an amiable personality type use to effectively network and expand their client base?
Well, just like any of them, any of the personality traits, um, you've got to be a really good listener. And you've
Mhm.
got to ask those questions of what are you trying to accomplish here? What's your goal? What's your time frame? When do you want this all to happen? What kind of time do you need? If you're gonna list their house, you got to ask them how much time is it going to take you to move? Are you going to need assistance with that? So there's a lot of these probing questions that you gotta get them talking so that they're telling you not telling them like, okay, well, here's the plan. You got plan A, step one, step two, step three, step four. You want them to give you that plan.
Yeah.
And then you work off that plan and then constantly recheck them because if their plan was a little too aggressive and they feel stressed, they're going to back off. So you've got to constantly be checking with them and making sure. And some of these people take a while. They may tell you, I'm ready to sell my house in the next 30 days. And it comes out that it may take them 6 months because they start feeling like, oh, I'm going to miss my neighbors. I'm going to miss my house. I love all my stuff. I love my garden. They're very emotional and very tied to those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. It sounds like if you have, whether you're a real estate agent or whether, actually, no, this example will work more if the amiable personality type is a real estate agent. Those are the types of agents that will be constantly nurturing their clients, that will be checking in with them. I mean, as an agent, you should always be checking in with your clients, but we'll have really thoughtful closing gifts. Will be the ones that are consistently communicating about the little things rather than just being, step 1, step 2, step 3. They're really wanting to get to know you as a person and holistically trying to find the best property based on more of your lifestyle needs rather than just quantitative qualifications, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on the other side, the customer wants to feel they can be your friend.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know that they can break bread with you, that they can meet you for a cup of coffee, and they like the small talk. You could push the business stuff to the side and make small talk, and then bring it up at the end and say, okay, well, hey, we've talked about everything in the world, but today we didn't. But our purpose here was to talk a little bit about business. So this is what I got for you, or tell me tell me what your plans are. How are we going to do this? How do you want to do this? What's your timeline? And then you can bring up some of those. But out of 100% of the time that you spend with them, you might only talk business 10 or 15% of that time. The rest of the time is small talk, relationship building that rapport. That's what they want. They strive for that. They would rather do that and than anything else in the world. If they feel comfortable with you and they trust you, then you're 100% in. If they don't trust you, then they won't answer your call. They'll block your phone. They just won't answer your call, your text messages, or anything. And this is a person also that wants to talk to you. The younger agents, the communication is all text message. These are people that they don't like text messages. They'll read into a text message something that's not there. So they want that communication. So a phone call is perfect for that person.
And I think these are the types of people too that you really want to hone in on for referrals specifically, because they're really big connectors when it comes to building relationships with you as an agent and then connecting you with their friends and their family and things like that. And so I think if you have like an amiable client versus like a driver client, you're probably going to get referrals more from that amiable client than the driver.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, they are your best ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Gary Keller millionaire real estate agent, he talks in the book about ambassadors, and you'll have a group of ambassadors that are just constantly looking for opportunity for you. And these are the kind of people that will be that ambassador for you and your business. So these are great people. These are just really nice, easygoing people. Like I said, though, you can't push them. You can't go for a hard close. You can't say, hey, you got to make a decision today, because that will just drive them crazy. It'll just shut them down completely.
Yeah.
Let me show you another slide here, which is how they see you. So you see, they see themselves, a person just like them, a good potential friend, might have similar weaknesses as themselves, reluctant to state what's on their mind. The expressive, nice, open person But too overstated, somewhat phony, hiding the real you, comes on too strong, too eager to move ahead quickly. That's what I was saying. They don't want to move fast, non-detailed oriented, and they're a little threatening. The driver is intimidating to them, overpowering, and sensitive to the needs of people, only concerned with the bottom line, and the analytical, too cool and impersonal, not open, too stuffy or arrogant. So these are the things. If you're an expressive, you've got to slow down. You can't shoot from the hip, and we talked about this in the last time. Is a lot of people, a lot of the expressive people, as salespeople, will come in with a pre-designated listing presentation, and they'll sit down and just shoot from the hip. I've sold so many houses. I'm the best. I do this marketing. I do all this other stuff. The Amiable doesn't care. All they want to know that they can rely on you, and they can trust you, and that you can be their friend. That's what they care about. Where the driver just wants the outcome, right? Can you sell my house? How much can you get for my house? That's what I want. The analytical wants to know all the little details of what you do. So you just have to be careful not to expose the full you at the beginning of the meeting. As you go along, then you can be yourself, but just remember things that trigger these personalities to lock down, to shut down, that you have to kind of hold back and train yourself to hold yourself back.
Absolutely. And I would say too, if the amiable and the driver are kind of opposites of one another, then probably the expressive and the analytical are also opposites of each other. Would you say that that's correct?
Pretty much so. Yeah. Now, I have seen people who, like we talked about, there's the four basics, but there's also a bleed over. So you always have there's always a secondary personality that we all have. And I think that's where your background and your environment and your culture kind of blend them in together. And education too, kind of blend a secondary personality in there. So you can have an expressive that's also an amiable, that has that part in it. I myself think I'm expressive with the secondary amiable, because I'm all about making relationships and loving on people, and I'm a hugger. So when I meet somebody, I give them a hug. And I've learned over the years that not everybody wants to be touched, but
not everyone's a hugger, but I feel I definitely get that. It's a big Midwestern and Southern hospitality is to want to give everybody a hug when you meet them for the first time. And I find that depending on where you're from and where you grew up, that may be true or not. I don't know. For everyone on the call, let us know if you find that a more personable greeting is for you, or if you're just sticking to the handshake.
Well, I've had it where I've reached out to somebody and gave them a hug, and their whole body stiffened up, just like, and you go, oops,
you're like, that was not my intention.
Yeah. But I was kind of raised in this, in the Tampa Bay area is we have a lot of Cuban culture and Italian culture as the two main cultures, a part of the city, and everybody hugs, and the Italians hug you and give you a kiss on the cheek. It's a cool thing, but not everybody's from here. So there's people that I've given hugs to, and then I immediately understand, or as you approach them and you break that line of personal space, you see how their body reacts, and you see them kind of freeze a little bit, and that lets you know, hey, you better put your hand out. You know what I mean? So there's just those observation things. Myself, I have to constantly remind myself
nonverbal cues. Yeah,
to not let my crazy out all at once, you know, to kind of hold some of the crazy back. And
absolutely.
but all these personalities are people that I've been made great friends with over the years. And I think the last one, when we were doing the driver, I had a friend of mine call me while I was preparing for it, and I was laughing, going, "Hey, I'm doing a class on you today," and I started reading all the stuff to him. He goes, "Yep, that's me."
That about sums me up. Yeah.
That's me. And we were laughing about it. And I'm like, how did we become friends? You know, and we became friends because of a mutual respect. You know, there was some respect. And so putting all this stuff aside, every personality trait is looking for that respect. Right. And just starting off with any personality, if you give them the ability to talk and you just listen, small questions, short questions, and listening, they're going to tell you who they are. They're going to tell you what they expect, and they're going to tell you how to sell to them and how to be their friend or how to be their business partner. They're going to tell you. And so it just makes this a better way to communicate, and not just with someone we want to do business with. This could be with a relative, a neighbor. You know, we have a good example is my next door neighbor. She's a talker, right? And she's amiable. She's a big talker. When my wife and I are walking, she'll come out to talk to us. Well, my wife is more of a driver, okay? And so my wife, my wife will laugh at me about it. My wife will, she'll be talking, and my wife goes, "I got to get on a call," and she leaves me, right? She leaves me out there with her, and kind of smirks at me and gives me a little laugh as she walks away, like, "Ha ha ha! You know, you're stuck with her by yourself now." And so and her husband is exactly like my wife, and all four of us were together. And both my wife and her husband were like, "I got something to do." And they took off because they're not into the interaction and the small talk. They're all about business, getting straight down to it.
Oh, absolutely. I love that.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know we kind of talked a little bit about communication, but I also wanted to talk about conflicts and how to kind of navigate that, whether you as the agent is the amiable, or if you're dealing with an amiable client, how is that type going to approach conflict resolution or addressing concerns?
Well, hopefully in your initial meeting, you've been able to build that rapport. As you move through any process with them, once they accept you, and that's why this is important, very important for your initial meeting when you meet somebody, because after that you can kind of start letting your hair down a little bit more, and you can start you know, addressing the problems and stuff like that. It's just how to address the problems, you know. So with the amiable, if you run into a snag or a problem in a process, let's say in a process of buying a house, you have to be very gentle and you know, kind of lessen the blow and say, "Hey, I just got to let you know, because I didn't want this to catch you by surprise. We ran into a little snag, but I don't want you to worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. This is what I'm going to do, and you're in good hands with me. I hope you trust me. I'm gonna do everything I can to resolve this issue." Right? With like the driver, you're just gonna smack him in the face with it and say, "Hey, we ran into this snag. This is what we're going to do. and I'll connect with you tomorrow and let you know what the outcome is, right? You can't do that with the amiable. With the expressive, you can say, hey, this is what we come up with. This is what I plan to do. What do you think about that? You think that's going to work for you? Or do you have any ideas, or do you want to attack this in a different way? And that's how you kind of approach them, different. Questions, anybody?
That's great to know. Sorry, I know I've been asking so many questions, but Lila, Donna, Janet, I know you just joined, but we're talking about the amiable personality trait. And so Tony's kind of given us a little bit of background. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to unmute or type something in the chat.
I guess just a comment, not really a question, but just going over understanding more of the amiable, I might be mispronouncing,
No,
personality.
You're good.
I have like just those clients that come to mind that are golden age. And so I know those conversations are going to be 30 minutes, and like 29 minutes will be just very personal. Like, how's the week going? How are the grandkids? And but I like those conversations because I do feel like a lot of our jobs, like I intentionally try to not sound too like salesy, and build that relationship. So it's just easier, I think, with those personalities when you really know. It's like, okay, we can like focus a lot on you getting to know me and me getting to know you, and just getting more comfortable with each other. So I enjoy that.
And I can tell that you are probably a little towards the amiable yourself. I can see it the way you handle yourself and your smiles and your, so those are kind of cues that I can pick up on, and just kind of feel with if I was dealing with you, we would talk about being friends. We would talk about doing things, or what you like to do. We would have those little small talk stuff initially. So yeah, and that's why you like those people, because they're more like you. So it's easier to deal with them because you can kind of let your hair down because they're just like you, right? But if you're going to the driver, you might be a little nervous and a little intimidated because they're like in your face, they're commanding. They're going to control the conversation. They're going to control the action. Matter of fact, some of them may say, hey, you've only got 5 minutes. I'm really busy, or the amiable won't tell you that. The amiable doesn't want to tell you we got to stop. They'll talk to you forever. They'll make you coffee. They'll bring you donuts, whatever, crackers, whatever. They'll want to stay for dinner. That's, and they're great people. They're fun. It's fun to be around those people, because you can relax a little bit and kind of, but you got to show that you care for them,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, go right ahead.
No, I think it just made me think about like cold calling. So when you never know what you're going to get, right, until you're just kind of, oh, okay, definitely driver. What do you want? So how, I guess, what would be your tips for those kinds of, one, you're not meeting in person, it's a phone conversation. They don't see my expressions, in person. So how does maybe an amiable person connect with a driver or analytical? Like, who are you?
Yeah, it's I find the cold calls I've always found a little difficult because they're very impersonal, right? So if you get a driver, they may hang up on you. Like, you're wasting my time. What are you calling me for? Right? The amiable might listen to your spiel a little bit. But if they don't have a need for what you're selling, they might tell you, oh, I'm not in the market now. I'm not really interested. Thank you for calling. And then they'll want to end the call. So it's kind of hit and miss on if you're not in front of them, where you can't see some visual cues about them. But you can pick up on their tonality and those kind of things. And so on, let's say the driver, you basically a respect statement. Listen, I know you're a busy person, and the reason for my call is this. Is there a time where we can talk in depth about, you know, selling your home? I'd love to set up an appointment with you to go into the depth of what you're looking to do, right? So maybe it might be not a cold call, but a kind of, you already have information that they want to sell. So it's a, you know, you get a listing lead. Hi, away attitude. um, you you know, you might have a listing lead, and when you call them, they're a little, you know, abrupt with you. So with that, you can basically say, listen, I know I'm calling you out of the blue, but I've got this information that you're looking to sell. Is there a better time where we can talk, where I can see, we can discuss your plans of what you're trying to do? That kind of dialogue with them. So you're giving them that respect without saying, I'm going to spew about what I'm doing without being interested in you. I really want to know what you're trying to do. Is there a better time? And you'll find out, the problem with cold calling is they may say, I'm not selling my house, bam, and they slam the phone down, right? Even though they signed up on your website for to get to get a value, home value, they'll hang up on you. I've had that multiple times. So it just depends. It's hard on the phone because you're not able to observe them personally. You can't see the way they stand, the way they sit, the way their environment is. You can't pick up on those cues. Yeah, and that brings up another thought that we didn't cover is, like, the Amiable is going to be a very relaxed dressed person, very casual, relaxed, versus the driver. The driver is going to be dressed well. You're going to see he's going to be pretty neat. Manicured lawns, you're like, oh my God, this guy's meticulous in how he takes care of his house. Those are the kind of things. The Amiable is going to be a little more relaxed, more casual stuff, just feel good stuff, pictures, family pictures on the walls, and those kind of things. Or the driver might be, very, very fine lines and deep, two color schemes in their home, and just, you get the picture. Let's see. I did have one other thing that I haven't shared before. Let me share it with you. And it's kind of just an action plan kind of thing of, where is it? There it is. So this is just kind of an action plan that you can put together. Just kind of a practice thing is, what your strategy is. What's my strategy to improve my effectiveness with the driver, and write down some notes with the analytical, with the Amiable. And this is kind of a good little chart to kind of keep you on track of how improve communications with them. So when you meet somebody, that's one of the behaviors, and maybe you didn't do so well with them, then you can come back to this form and just say, or you can do it on your own on a piece of paper and just say, this is what I could have done better. This is what I failed to pick up. This is where these are things I said that I shouldn't have, and this is how I can improve.
Tony, if you want to send that over to me, I can forward this to everyone who attended the call.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'll send all of these to you.
Okay,
so you can share it with everybody.
I think they'll be good resources for anyone wanting to know more about any of the different personality types.
Okay.
And so I know we have about 4 minutes, or I guess now 3 minutes left for today's session. So I want to make sure that if anyone has any final questions or anything like that, that we address it.
Awesome.
All
Well,
right.
I thank all of you for coming. This has been a good class. We've had 7 or 8 people show up, so I appreciate it. This is something that I've used, started using many years ago when I was in corporate sales, and it really made a big difference in how I approached people and how and got business. And that was a little bit different than real estate sales because it was repeat business, but these are people that you saw on a daily basis. So even if I made a mistake at the beginning, I had a chance to correct it. Well, real estate, you may only have one chance to get it right? So where they won't lock you out. So it's even more important as a realtor to be observant and to master this. And so our next session next month, I hope all of you come. We'll be just discussing the fourth, which is the analytical, and talking about how to best sell to them. And then from then on, we might and we'll discuss the plan. Either we'll start the series over again, or we'll go into some more communication things that you can do as far as mirroring and doing things to help your client subconsciously feel better about being there with you. So we'll put those plans together. But next month, please check the rooms so that you can register for next month's class. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. These rooms are always fun when we just get to talk and discuss and collaborate on different topics. And so we'll see you guys hopefully back here for next month's session. It's going to be, I believe, our final episode, so to speak, of the series. And so I think it'll be a really good one. So I hope everyone has a great rest of their Tuesday, and thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you.